Hi, welcome back to another music nugget. Today's nugget is all about sources of inspiration, finding inspiration in strange places maybe. Something that I struggle more and more with as I have less and less time is I use a lot of my ideas up when working on arranging jobs and being in the studio and things like that. It often calls for you need to wow people in some way. So when it comes to getting back to writing my own stuff, I've used all these things up, and it's difficult sometimes to just pull inspiration from nowhere, effectively. So the first thing I want to talk about is how you can find inspiration in strange places. The first example here is I was watching The Goonies about 2 weeks ago now, and something that John Williams, the composer, uses a lot in terms of like creating mysterious textures, and I mean you'll all know exactly what this sound is when I play it. He will use major 7 arpeggios, sometimes rearrange the notes, sometimes just play them up and down, and then shift them in semitones, so you get this kind of effect. And you can probably even just imagine the Goonies now listening to that. If not, we'll probably have a cutaway to a little snippet of Goonies right now. The thing that I was struck by when I was messing about watching the Goonies playing the guitar was that's a really interesting sound generally. It's got a real sort of sci-fi kind of sound to it, and I wanted to try and incorporate that into some kind of riff. So I didn't use a major 7 arpeggio. First of all, I should explain what a major 7 arpeggio is in case anyone isn't sure. That's the root, so we're thinking it's an E major 7 arpeggio. It would go with an E major 7 chord. And the intervals involved would be root, major 3rd, 5th, major 7th, and then that just repeats. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, major 7th. And all you're doing is moving it down a semitone to get that effect. I decided to use that arpeggio in a tune that I kind of didn't have another part for. So the context here is an idea that's it will be distorted and it'll be in a band context, but it goes from these chords up until the point where I'm going to stop, so it's like. And it already kind of has that slightly sci-fi sound about it, which is why the Goonies thing struck me so much. So it's using Lydian sounds. It's coming down through like an E Lydian, so it's like playing off the 5th, then the sharp 4, major 3rd, 2nd. It's just coming down through a Lydian scale basically. And I thought, well, maybe I can incorporate this Goonies thing. So the riff that ended up getting built from that ended up sounding like this. And so on. But even though that's just a tiny snippet, it provided me with a launch pad that just inspired lots of different ideas after that. I'm not going to go on to show what they are, it's just going to take up too much of the lesson, but that's the essence of being inspired from a strange place That's what I wanted to show here. I only want to show one extra idea, and that was, again, coming from a strange place. I went to a guitar workshop about 5 or 6 years ago of a guy, I think his name was Walter Strauss, and he had basically spent a lot of time in West Africa and reappropriated a lot of kora techniques, which is a West African harp, that he translated over to guitar. And this thing was in double drop D. So you're just dropping your high E and your low E down to Ds. I'm not going to drop the low E because it doesn't come into the part, but the essence was this. It's a really simple idea. It's two rhythms, distortion. It's two different rhythms that are quite simple, two lines that are really simple, and they intertwine really nicely. They give you really interesting syncopation. So the first rhythm is, and then the other line is, and then when you put those together they go. So you can hear that that's pretty cool. It's two really simple things that play off of each other and create interesting syncopations between them. But it's something that I've just always had kicking about. Again, this is reason I tell my students to, even if they don't really understand the construction of something that much, when they learn it, keep any documentation that you have, because one day you'll come back to it and it's going to come in handy. So I started thinking about, well, how can I use this as a launch pad for an idea? I found it in my folder just by chance, and back in standard tuning I started thinking about, well, how can I do similar things with other chords? I thought, right, I'll start off with a minor 6 and have a major 7th in the bass, because I love these melodic minor sounds, and as you'll probably be able to tell from the YouTube channel. And so I arrived at this thing. I've got a minor 3rd and a 5th on the top, and that's doing that constant 8th note rhythm, and then the syncopated one is going, or something along those lines. I've kind of just learned to play the two parts together, and when you put them together they start sounding like this. And then I thought, right, that's cool, it's somewhere to start. What else do I like? What sounds do I like? I like modulating to relative majors of minor keys. So that got me thinking, if I'm going to modulate to the relative major, then I want to change that minor 3rd and the 5th to start with a major 3rd and a 5th. That's the most simple way of doing that. And bring in, that's going to be C major, so bring in a root, major 3rd, that's a 5th, just using the open note. And then I'm going to travel between chords. I'm going to try and link some things up. So what else do I know is in the key of C major? I'm going to use a passing chord that isn't in the key of C major, but it's because I like strange notes, surprises. I'm going to use that sound to lean into A minor. And then I'm going to use F, which kind of lies under here as well. And the whole principle is I'm going to keep that. That's now the root and the major 3rd of F, so that will go through something like that sort of thing, and then go back to C, but I'm going to bring in some melodic minor elements, so I'm going to put a flattened 6 in it. I'm thinking of it as like Mixolydian flat 6. Like that, and that's just a 5th and a root up the top. So now that chord progression becomes, now That was actually a major third of the A that I hit. I'm just kind of thinking on my feet a little bit at the moment, so it sounds like this. Oh, and the F. C. And then modulate back for the verse to the minor. And I'll try and play that fluidly, but you can probably already get the idea. I'm generating a lot of material just from one simple rhythmic concept, syncopation concept. So yeah, it sounds like this. And so on. I'm losing it. Anyway, you get the idea. That's two kind of novel ways of generating ideas coming from strange places. I hope you like that. Stay tuned for more nuggets. Thanks very much.